Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
We wanted to show all the good Louisiana has to offer.
A familiar showpiece pays off big for tourism.
So there's more potential for people to get both infections at the same time.
Is Flurona the twindemic medical experts feared?
Our mission is really to grow young professionals in the area.
The plan to keep young talent from leaving Louisiana.
And I thought, I'm just going to have to shut everything down.
Supply chain woes adding insult to injury for Mardi Gras artists.
Hi everyone, I'm Kara St. Cyr.
And I'm Andre Morrow. Louisiana sets another COVID record for most daily cases. On Wednesday, the health department reported 17,592 new cases. It beat last week's record by 3,000. The number of hospitalizations also increasing rapidly. 132 patients are currently on ventilators. And experts, they say they don't see any slowing for the surge. Dr. Joseph Cantor from LDH says health officials aren't really sure even if we've seen the peak yet.
The growth has been so explosive that if you look on graphs nationwide of case counts, they've had to change the y-axis because the rate of growth has been just so extreme over the past couple of weeks. And this past week really, unfortunately, has been no different.
On a more positive note, Cantor did say that the number of patients entering emergency rooms has dipped from 16.7% to 12.9% in 1 week. Now, Governor John Bel Edwards said he won't be reinstating any mandates, but some cities are creating their own. New Orleans is now requiring a face covering indoors to manage the COVID spread before carnival season. The mandate went into effect Wednesday at 6 a.m., and it also applies to participants in the annual Mardi Gras balls that take place in the city.
And now let's look at other news headlines from around the state. The Public Affairs Research Council, PAR, released a new report that details how Louisiana lawmakers are using the state's budget boom to pay off much of a $1.1 billion multi-year debt. The money is owed to the federal government for the flood protection system strategically built around New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. The payments will save Louisiana billions of dollars in interest charges. A big change is in the works for the Treasure Chest Casino in Kenner. They've announced plans to move onto land as part of a $95 million expansion. A 2018 Louisiana law cleared the way for floating casinos to move onto land. The Treasure Chest has been docked on Lake Pontchartrain in Kenner since 1994. A federal court has again rejected a Central Pastors lawsuit over Governor John Bel Edwards' past COVID-19 restrictions on public gatherings. A Baton Rouge judge said Tony Spell's lawsuit is moot because the restrictions long ago expired. He also ruled there was never a clearly established right to unrestricted religious liberty. The current rise of COVID cases will keep the state Supreme Court building in New Orleans off limits to the public for now. It's been that way since December. A court statement says court filings will be accepted at the main entrance, but electronic filing is encouraged. The governor this week unveiled the state's final plan for reducing carbon emissions to net zero by 2050. Three main components of the plan include a dramatic shift to electricity from renewable sources like wind and solar, using that electricity to power the state's huge industrial base, and requiring industries using high-intensity heat processes to switch from carbon-based fuels to hydrogen. News of the plan came during an online Zoom meeting of the Climate Initiatives Task Force. Thousands of animals are dead after a pipeline from Collins Pipeline Company ruptured, spilling more than 300,000 gallons of diesel fuel into a coastal wetland between Chalmette and Bayou Sauvage National Wildlife Refuge. The leak was discovered December 27th. The State Department of Wildlife and Fisheries are now cleaning and treating 72 diesel-covered alligators affected by the spill, plus dozens of snakes and turtles. An inspection in October 2020 discovered that the pipeline had external corrosion, but repairs were never made. In 2021, Louisiana had the 5th highest population loss among all states in the U.S. Now, we had a pandemic. We have a pandemic. We also had hurricanes. But population loss in Louisiana is really not anything new, and that's especially among young professionals who may go to school here and then leave for greener pastures like Atlanta or Houston. The question is how to change that, and Morgan Almeida, a 2016 LSU graduate, is here to tell us about that. You're involved with a group that is working to change that, and you see some hope, I believe.
I do. Well, thank you for having me, and I'm excited to talk about this.
Yes.
I am currently president of Forum 225, which is Baton Rouge's largest young professionals organization. So our mission is really to grow young professionals in the area through philanthropic efforts, civic efforts, and just helping them become leaders within their own organizations.
You grew up here.
I did.
And in the past several years, when a lot of people in your age group may have moved to bigger cities or other states, you've found that this was a great place to be. So how do you get that message out?
Yeah, honestly, so the very truth of it is I decided to stay because of Forum 225. I got involved straight out of college. Not gonna lie, I was super intimidated at the beginning, but here we are 6 years down the road and I'm now president of the organization, but it was really the opportunities that the organization provides that allowed me to grow here in my community and stay. And I do really see good things happening in Baton Rouge. I think our biggest struggle right now is we don't talk about them. And so I think that's one of the reasons some young professionals are leaving, because they just don't know.
About the good things?
About the good things,
All right.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of them.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. We did recently announce a new partnership with our local economic development organization, the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. And this partnership is allowing us to better engage with local businesses. Our business community knows that young professionals want a great quality of life, and we have those stuff that going on in the works. You know, we know we're working on our infrastructure, we're working on better schools. We hear those things, but do young professionals know about the other things that are going on right now? This partnership is allowing Forum to go to businesses, get those businesses to involve their young professionals with us to see those things. They need a life outside of work, and we can give them that.
Right, and the Forum's been around for a while, but this is a different approach than before?
Oh, absolutely. I think we've always known Forum has a ability to be a talent retention tool, and it's kind of been an added bonus of our organization, but I think our board really took an intentional step by partnering with BRAC to expand that reach of talent retention and show how we can be an economic force as well.
Okay, improving schools, change leaders, fix taxes. Those are three basic things that you might as well say, let's go to the moon right now, right? It sounds like, but those are three basic things that are reasons why people would stay.
Absolutely.
Are any of those feasible in the short term?
I definitely see changes happening now. In the short term, there are things going on in our community, and I've been really excited. Forum has recently released a young professional platform. We did that during the pandemic, but it was just 8 things our members and other young professionals in the community are very passionate about, and that platform was saying, we want to partner on those things. Let's push together now.
But quality of life is important, amenities. Does the capital region, does Louisiana as a whole have enough of those things to attract the young professionals not to flee the state?
Oh, absolutely think so. I think our main problem is letting people know those things. We are very focused on the negatives. So often I find that they're not hearing about some of these other things, like the potential intercity rail between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. That's amazing. And
that's potential still.
They've gotten closer, yes.
Yes.
And that's not just great for Baton Rouge, that's great for New Orleans as well, and our surrounding super region, as we like to call it.
Let me ask you about blight, because keep Louisiana beautiful, yet you go around a lot of Louisiana cities and there seems to be a lack of pride across the state, as a matter of fact, because you see litter in a lot of places, and you don't see that necessarily in some other major metro areas as much.
And we do have organizations that are tackling that, like you said, Keep Louisiana Beautiful. And I think at Forum, one stance we take is volunteering with those organizations. So we like to create relationships with them, show young professionals in the community, yes, it might not look great now, but there are these organizations out there doing those things, and you can be part of it.
Morgan, thanks for being here. Thanks for telling us about this new partnership and about going forward.
Thank you.
Young professionals and others, listen up. There is much more information about this on the Forum 225 website, forum225.org.
Doctors have long been concerned about the occurrence of a twindemic since the start of COVID-19. Now that flu cases are on the rise, patients all over the world are coming down with Flurona, a co-infection of the influenza and COVID-19. Dr. Rachael Kermis, a family medicine physician at Baton Rouge General Hospital, breaks down the infection and its symptoms.
While the public grapples with an intensifying fifth wave, medical experts are keeping an eye out for another infection slowly growing more prevalent.
Flurona is when we unfortunately get COVID and the flu together. It's something that has happened in the past, but not really with the prevalence that we're worried about it happening right now because
Dr. Rachael Kermis, a family medicine physician at Baton Rouge General Hospital, says that Flurona isn't a new variant. Instead, it's two viruses infecting the body at once. The symptoms of the dual infection take ailments from both diseases. It's common for people to experience the dry cough, fatigue, and shortness of breath from COVID-19, alongside the congestion, runny nose, and muscle aches of the flu.
So we do worry about the symptoms potentially being worse because flu obviously is not good by itself, and we've seen that COVID is not very good by itself either. So hopefully in a healthy individual, someone without a lot of comorbidities, is just a bad respiratory infection, meaning you're going to be on the couch for a few days, have some coughing, hopefully improves with just over-the-counter medications.
This type of infection, although rare, isn't new. There have been previous cases of coronaviruses and the flu simultaneously infecting people for years. According to The Atlantic, a man tested positive for coronavirus and the flu in February 2020, before the public had any concept of COVID-19. Since the initial diagnosis, medical experts have noticed an increase in both cases globally. The first of the year was reported in Israel when doctors diagnosed 2 pregnant women on January 2nd. Since then, cases have been reported in Brazil, China, and the UK. The United States has also reported cases in Houston, Florida, and California. Dr. Kermis says that it's likely cases will start to appear in Louisiana as well.
We were worried about it last year, and that was kind of the big scary thing. We were all hoping it wasn't going to happen. And thankfully, from our masking protocol and a lot tighter isolation rules, we did just not have as much flu within our community. Unfortunately, we are seeing more of it now, so there's more potential for people to get both infections at the same time.
The reason this infection seems more common this year is because mandates have been lifted and more people have returned to work. In 2020, lockdowns and restrictions were put in place to limit COVID spread. The flu was also limited in the process. Now that life is returning to a new normal, flu cases are rising.
One of the big things I'm still recommending for people is if you feel sick, please don't go around people. Try to get tested. I know we are having some access problems with tests, but as the supply chain picks up, we should be able to have more and more testing available.
While a patient may get symptoms of both viruses, the overall infection is reported to be mild. The best protection is still to be vaxxed and boosted.
If you feel like you have symptoms of Flurona, make sure you ask your doctor for both a COVID and an influenza test.
Two elaborate floats in two of the nation's biggest parades, watched by literally billions of people. They've drawn rave reviews for Louisiana, a great part of the Louisiana tourism push. It's like a full court blitz, actually, that they've been doing this past year to try to lure people to come back into the state, still in a pandemic, and to also do those staycations. In addition to that, also keeping Louisiana beautiful. Another part of that, there's a lot to talk about. Mardi Gras is here, but Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser is also here. So where do you want to start? Mardi Gras?
Well, you know, these two parades were a way to promote and get people excited about coming to Louisiana, something thinking outside the box with Mardi Gras right around the corner. Those billions of people that watched, we're sure many of those are going to get excited about Louisiana, what we have to offer, and hopefully book a trip somewhere in Louisiana to Mardi Gras.
Now, let me ask you, this was a great idea, but did you ever think that it would get the acclaim, including an award in the Tournament of Roses?
Right. No, you know, it's always a gamble. We have to make sure the return on investment is there. So it's always a risk. But looking at the parade in past years and the viewership, and knowing that when we went out there to make the presentation to get added, we talked about putting our best foot forward, a hospital worker, a police officer of the year, a teacher of the year. We wanted to show all the good Louisiana has to offer. And a local boy made it big, American Idol Lane Hardy, the Hot 8 brass band. These performances and all together was our concept of to show all the good for Louisiana. Right. And so when we were accepted, then we had to make sure that we got the return on investment, and it knocked it out the park.
I've noticed your website also seems to have knocked it out of the park because it seems more thorough, more specific. It gives specific ideas, telling people if you're eating crawfish, don't worry about getting messy because that's going to happen.
You know, we wanted to make sure that we're touching people and interacting. So much of social media, there's so much out there. So we've got great partners all over the state in the tourism industry that really have a lot of input into how we put that content out there and how we reach people, interact with them. And I think that's the future of trying to get people excited about coming to Louisiana. They want to interact and know they can come here, get their hands dirty, and see what Louisiana is really about.
It's one thing to get them here, but when they leave, what are they saying about the state? And that's where the Keeping Louisiana Beautiful campaign comes in, and you've got something to mention about that?
Yes, we last year we were able to get the legislature to move it under our office. I've always been passionate about cleaning up Louisiana, and we moved it under my office last year. We've made some progress, but we got a long way to go. And we're going to have a major announcement next week about that. I can't let the cat out the bag yet, but I'm excited that working as a team, we're going to finally get to clean up Louisiana once and for all so we can be proud coming and leaving the state, and everyone else will be. We do have the best people in the world. And when I travel the world, people say, yes, y'all treat strangers like family.
Yeah, just like family.
So that makes you so proud of Louisiana. And I want to be proud of the landscape. We are the sportsman's paradise. So yes, we're excited about that, too.
You know, one of the things that's exciting is that coming up in a little while, we'll talk about this in the future, your civil rights markers continue to grow and expand.
Really is. You know, we've postponed the one for Friday in Bogalusa because the family of the descendants wanted to be there and they're elderly. We don't want to risk that, so we're going to push it back a few months. But as we put those around the state, partnering with the other southern states, it's going to bring millions of visitors, but it's also going to tell a story and recognize some of those families and what they meant to the civil rights movement. Another great addition, more tools in our toolbox to promote Louisiana.
Well, I'd like to bring you back here to talk more thoroughly about that. One thing I don't want to leave out, and I touched on it earlier, was we're still in a pandemic. How are you coping with that?
Well, you know, we've got to get through it. I don't believe we can take a setback at shutting down again. And, you know, we promote Mardi Gras all over Louisiana. Family-friendly, affordable Mardi Gras in every corner of the state.
Right.
Before COVID, we saw double-digit improvements of people driving in to Shreveport, Homer, Morgan City to those Mardi Gras celebrations, Baton Rouge, Lafayette. We believe we can host the parades and do it safely, and we're hoping to welcome people from all over the world to Mardi Gras this year. the communities around the state really need that shot in the arm, no pun intended, to the economy, the businesses, attractions. We can't afford another setback. Those businesses won't make it if we don't do everything we can to support them.
Great to have you here.
Always. Happy New Year.
Appreciate it. Happy New Year. You will find more information of what's happening throughout Louisiana at louisianatravel.com.
Supply chain issues resulting from the pandemic have halted numerous operations, from food distribution to retail shipments. Mardi Gras supplies are the latest casualty. Dana Bueller, an independent Mardi Gras artist, and Stephen Ellis, the Rachael Kermis quartermaster, talk about their struggle to bring Mardi Gras back to life amid a supply chain crisis.
Shipping containers stuck at sea, trucks without drivers, store shelves empty. When the pandemic began in 2020, the world came to a halt. As we enter a fifth surge, widespread shortages for the global supply chain are still impacting every corner of the country, including South Louisiana, where small businesses are struggling. In the heart of New Orleans, independent Mardi Gras artists like Dana Bueller are just trying to stay afloat.
I really did my best to get started early. I always do, but the season always, will catch up with you. And there were things that I waited a really long time for.
Bueller builds the iconic Mardi Gras flowers you see in every parade. She makes headsets for crew members and even builds the sculptures atop some of the floats. But to do this accurately, she has to have enough time.
I would say if I haven't started on something by September, or if it's not at least on my books or on my radar by September, it's too late. It's too late.
And this year, she is cutting it dangerously close.
I mean, there were times when I would drive to Slidell just to pick up a quart if I could find it, just to try to keep me going. And there were times when I thought, I'm just going to have to shut everything down. I'm going to have to stop taking orders and stop working.
She placed orders for materials she needed in June, which is about 10 to 12 gallons of glue and 20 to 30 gallons of paint. Now, glue and paint may seem easy to come by, but Mardi Gras artists need specific brands that can survive hundreds of hands grabbing at floats and costumes in the hopes of catching a bead. These orders were backlogged on a shipping container for months, and for a while, manufacturers weren't even sure that they could make the materials she needed. From July to November, it was a game of anticipation, patience, and perseverance.
I do remember evacuating for Ida and driving all over Houston just looking for quarts and only being able to find 2 quarts. And I would be able to find it at certain places, and I would crack open the cans and they would all be old cans, dead cans, unusable, because people were getting the material off the shelf. It was the last that they had, but it was all old. So it was disheartening. And I think that's when I started to put out the memo to the other artists that hey guys, this is a problem. This is really bad. I don't know what's going to happen.
Her orders would eventually come in late November, early December, putting her nearly 3 months behind schedule. And to make matters worse, the inflated price of shipping and panic buying costed Bueller $500 to $1,000 more than her average supply spending. And she's not the only artist battling the supply chain crisis. Rachael Kermis, one of the oldest parades in New Orleans, is facing it too.
I was hearing horror stories towards the beginning of last year, even before it made the news. The people who I work with for logistics were telling me it's going to take longer, it's going to be more expensive.
Stephen Ellis is the quartermaster for the Rex Parade. His job is to order beads, bags, and any other items crew members throw off the float. Unlike Bueller, Ellis's biggest problem wasn't locating the items he needed, it was paying for them to get to New Orleans.
We didn't want to take the risk of things getting caught up and not having our throws here in time. So we tried to bring a ship directly into New Orleans, or at least to book on a ship that was coming to New Orleans, and that's how we were set up for a while. That ship ended up getting rerouted and came into Texas, so then we had to hire a truck to bring our containers from Texas to New Orleans.
The result was a $16,000 price tag for beads and bags that would have normally cost around $4,000. Much of the cost was absorbed by Rex's foundation, but the amount of money was still a shock. The supply chain crisis is still underway. In December, John Drake, the vice president for supply chain policy at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, said that a wealth of factors are to blame. Raw materials are scarce right now. There's a truck driving shortage, and factories are closing. The Biden administration has pledged $230 million in port infrastructure grants and programs to recruit more truck drivers. But with all these changes, it's still likely Americans will feel the shortage further into 2022. But for artists like Bueller, the worst is almost over.
Bueller is back on schedule for production of her flowers and headdresses. She says she should be finished before her parades roll. And Rachael Kermis is also on track to finish on time. You'll be able to see them on Mardi Gras Day.
Yeah, but it's been stressful because you do Mardi Gras because you love it, and having all those things not work out on time, it certainly makes it tough.
Yeah, it's definitely a strain going on, but here at LPB, we're doing our part to keep the carnival spirit alive and well. We just launched a new social media campaign to encourage vaccinations. It's called Save Mardi Gras 2022.
Yeah, LPB produced an original Mardi Gras inspired song with musician John Gray, and we asked well-known choreographer here in this area, Baton Rouge, Leonard Augustus, to create a special dance. We've turned it into a TikTok video that we hope will encourage everyone to get vaxxed and let the good times roll. Let's take a look.
Hey, Louisiana, let's save Mardi Gras. 3, 2, 1, come on. Get down, 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 yeah. Come on. Get down, 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 yeah. Come on. Get down, 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 yeah.
You're not in that, are you?
No, I'm not. I would not be able to keep up.
We were not invited.
We were not invited. We were learning the dance moves, though. We were trying.
But we're going to practice.
We're going to practice.
And get it down, yeah.
But like I said, I could not keep up. Now, if you're like me and need a little extra help getting those moves down, we've created a tutorial video for the dance that breaks it all down for you. Post your video on social media, and in a few weeks, we're gonna take the best of the best, the creme de la creme, and we're gonna air that right here. If you'd like to learn more, you can join our Save the Mardi Gras Dance Challenge, and that's gonna be on TikTok. You can head over to lpb.org, Save Mardi Gras, listen to the original music, and watch our fun dance to learn the steps. And remember to hashtag Save Mardi Gras 2022, get vaxxed,
Absolutely.
And LPB.
Yes, indeed. And on that note, that's our show for this week. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime, wherever you are, with our LPB PBS app.
You can catch LPB News and public affairs shows, as well as other Louisiana programs you've come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and possibly TikTok.
Yeah.
So make sure you go to TikTok and do that TikTok challenge right now.
Absolutely. For everyone here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. I got to work on TikTok.
Yes, we both do. We both do.
Until next time, everyone, that's the state we're in.
Hey, Louisiana, let's save Mardi Gras. Let me see you move. Let me see you move. Hey, and 3, 2, 1, come on. Get down, 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 yeah. Come on. Get down, 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 yeah. Come on. Get down, 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 yeah. Hey.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.